It's like a quest. So in your head you make it's a quest where you have to go to that place, do that thing, like Indiana Jones. He has to first go get the thingamajiggy, then he is to go and get that thingamajiggy, and then something will happen. So people have made in their head, because of reading all these books like Eat, Pray and Love, that on my quest to spirituality, first stop Bali, second stop Himalaya, third stop this, then I'll have all the things, and then something will happen, and then the Nazi's face will melt. This is the only thing that we have. And I suddenly ask you to let go of it and try to go within. Then the fear comes, go into what? Then you have to literally wait, like you are waiting for Uber to come and take you away from the shady side of the town. You're waiting for God. Oh my goodness, he's not come yet. When he'll come, and then that gives birth to so many doomsday thoughts, ideologies, and cults. That if you look even in America, you look even in India, there's these sects that that tomorrow the world is going to finish, God is coming, this, that, listen to us. And then eventually it's like you are waiting. But in the Shaivite philosophy, you can change the yugas.
Morning, fam. So I'm doing this intro video from Varanasi. I'm in India right now. As you'll watch in the video, my guest in this video, Ishan Shivanand, invited me to come to India to join him at the Mahakumbh Mela. And so I came with no plans to come to India last week when I recorded this episode. Now I'm here because surrenderance. I feel like that's a big part of the journey in life, as you'll discover when you listen to our episode. Um, this episode is so, so, so good. I know I say that about every episode, but like, I feel very grateful to have great guests, and I feel like it's getting better. So please check out this whole episode. Ishan Shivanand is magical. And our conversation is spectacular. To preface who Ishan Shivanand is, really quick, he is the guru master of a yoga program called Shiv Yoga. Shiv Yoga is very big in India. His father is an enlightened master, and Ishan himself was raised in an ashram that his father started for 25 years. And then he started coming out into the world, kind of like Gautama Buddha, ironically enough. And he wanted to start spreading the practices and the message of Shiv Yoga further and wider. And he resides in the United States now. I, full disclosure, practice Shiv Yoga. I do the practices. They are so powerful, and they only help my journey of advancing through life. So if after this episode you are interested, Ishan Shivanand does have a app, a mobile app on the App Store called Shiv Yoga, Manifest and Meditate. And I'll put a little thing right there so you can see it. But go download the app if you're interested in learning more about what yoga really is and what yoga can really do. And this is more than just like the stretching yoga that we know. This is Kriya yoga. This is japa, chanting yoga. This mobile app has so much on it. But enjoy the episode. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Oh, also, Ishan Shivanand does have a book coming out in May called Practice of Immortality. You should also check that out. It doesn't come out for another couple months as of recording this intro, but it is bound to be a very powerful book. With that said, please enjoy the episode and watch the whole episode. And please, please, please leave some comments. and let me know what you think, because this is such a powerful conversation. And check out this gorgeous sunrise. Isn't it so beautiful? All right, I'll see you on the other side. Ishan bhai, namaste. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you so much for doing this episode with me. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of Dang Life Mastery. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. So, Ishan is the Guru Master of Shiv Yoga, along with his father, Abadhud Shivanand. What is Shiv Yoga, Bhai, for those who don't know?
So, if you look at Indian history, you will find one thing is common: Shiv Yogis. If you read the Mahabharata, Arjuna procured his weapons from Mahadev. Yes, we see Mahabharata and we remember it for the Gita, but you will find everybody in the Mahabharata was praying to Mahadev. So all of Arjuna's great weapons, Pashupat, Astra, everything comes from Mahadev. You look at Ramayana and you will find Mahadev is that energy that drove even the protagonist and the antagonist. You go back even more, you look at archaeological evidence, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, all these civilizations, you will find there, you will have reference of Mahadev.
Mahadev Shiva.
Shiva. Mahadev means the great God. Simple. The God that cannot be described, the God that is beyond everything, the God that is the infinite energy. So that Mahadev is that string.
The no thingness, right? Like Shiva means no thing when dissected.
There are meanings, yes. But this what I'm trying to say is that Mahadev is the string that joins Sanatan Dharma together over passages of time. And the people who followed this science of Mahadev were the ones who were called Shiv Yogis. So Mahadev is in every form. He is knowledge. Then he is Dattatreya. He is Bhagwan Dakshinamurti. He is healing. He is Bhagwan Mahamrityunjay. He is death. He is Mahakal. He is ferocity. He is Bhairav. So all this, his forms that the Shiv Yogis would master, would unravel. They would look at Mahadev and they would look at him as a gateway to the infinite potential of the universe. And through that gateway, they would channel that knowledge, that science, and that is how India became such a technological marvel in the ancient world. So Shiv Yogis were the ones who were obsessed with that sadhana, entering the gate of Shiva. And Shiv Yoga is that science of the Shiv Yogis.
Okay.
So you could call it the most ancient practice in Bharat.
Okay. And Bharat meaning India.
Yes.
How far back does this science date? I know that you said like we can see it across all cultures, but is it born from Bharat, from India, from the subcontinent of India, or is it like where do you know like where the knowledge kind of first was seeded from?
So your concept of time, I don't know how it comes, because this whole BC AD is a very civilization concept of time. It's very new. In our culture, we have this concept of immortals, and one of the great immortals name is Kak Bhushandi. And Kak Bhushandi, we have his references in Yog Vashisht, and we have his references even in the Ramayana. And Kak Bhushandi says he has seen infinite times the creation and destruction of humanity. He has seen so many times the creation and destruction of Bhagwan Avatar, even when he comes. He has seen Ram many times. He has seen Krishna many times. He's seen the circle so many times. And in this continuous flow of time that Kak Bhushandi talks about, because creation and destruction, if today our civilization ends, 1% people are left. We go back to the Stone Ages. Then all this knowledge, all this science that you see is gone. then again it will take us a long time. And we know this archaeologically. When the Bronze Age collapse happened, then written word was lost. Then it took us so long to again get back to it and rediscover the knowledge. When uh, the Greek civilizations fell, and Alexandria was burned down by the new religions that were coming up, then so much of science and art and history was lost. And it took us again 1,000 years to rediscover it. So Sanatan Dharma literally means immortal knowledge.
Okay.
Immortal knowledge that is rediscovered again and again once humanity is ready for it. So people who can channel that light, who can go into the state of Shiva Yoga, then they can channel this information back. And when our consciousness goes down, then it's not like this knowledge can disappear. It just goes back to the source. And then people are not ready for it now. And then again, when we become higher consciousness as a society, as a civilization, then there are some people amongst us, the siddhas, the gurus, who can channel that information back. So that knowledge is Sanatan. Sanatan means eternal truth.
Okay.
So there is no beginning, no end.
I love that. I was telling him earlier, I recently discovered that what we know of as Hinduism commonly in the West is actually, it's a name that was actually given when the Europeans invaders. I was
invaders
kind,
from the so Europeans came much later. Because there was dark ages. They're like, you have to understand why did they come.
So it wasn't the Europeans that gave the word Hinduism then.
So it was the people who live in the western part of Asia, the Islamic empires. When they were coming to India, they had to cross the river Sindhu. So they couldn't pronounce the S. So from that it became Hindu. So the Hindustan is that word that, is the stan where the people from the other side of the river live.
Stan. Wow. I just made that connection. Stan is an Arabic word, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Hindustan.
You learn something every day.
But the actual religion, the culture, is Sanatan Dharma.
Okay.
Yes.
That's like, I always felt a weird thing about calling myself Hindu. I don't know why.
What does it mean to be a Hindu? Tell me this.
I think it just means Hindu, spiritual. Like, I think.
Okay, define. Okay, so if you are looking at a Muslim gentleman, his 5-time prayer, he's going to Makkah, Medina. There are 5-6 things that you can tell that makes him a Muslim. You look at a Catholic, his connection to the church, Sunday going to prayer, all these things you can tell. So what are the rules that a person does so that he calls himself a Hindu? Tell me, educate me. What do you think in America, being as an American born Hindu Sikh gentleman, what do you think for you and most of the people being Hindu means?
Going to temple, sitting down while the priests are doing these elaborate chants and these offerings and these ceremonies, and just listening.
So just being a witness. That is not being.
That was my experience growing up. Like, it was sitting in mandir or sitting in temple.
So if I go see a movie, I am Hollywood.
I mean, that's my experience of it. And then, like,
see, that is, my friend, the problem. That we don't know. Sanatan Dharma is so vast that we have lost the connection to the Guru. The Guru word has been bastardized. Everybody just tries to overuse it and claim ownership. But Guru is literally the person who is the bringer of light, remover of darkness, the one who educates. Sanatan Dharma is so vast. It has different practices. If you look at a Shaiv or a Shakt or a Vaishnav, you will find all three are completely different.
Can we dissect those words a little bit more for those who don't speak Hindi?
Shaiv are the people who followed the Shaivite philosophies.
Shaivite meaning Shiva.
Shiva. Vaishnavas are those who follow the Vaishnav philosophies, like Vishnu Bhagwan, so meaning Bhagwan Ram, Bhagwan Krishna, and so there is a different trajectory to follow if you are a Vaishnav. And Shakt are the Shakti Upasaks,
and that's
Ma Bhadrakali, Ma Lalita Tripur Sundari,
Mm.
so on and so forth. So
Mm.
Shiv yogis are the one who follow the Shaiv and the Shakt traditions.
Mm.
So Sanatan Dharma is based on these traditions of the great guru. So imagine that the problem happens when you try to look at Sanatan Dharma from the eyes of Abrahamic religions.
Mm.
When you try to institutionalize it,
Mm.
when you try to say, okay, this is the beginning, this is the Messiah, this is from where it began. And I find a lot of people try to do this. Like you will find some movements of offshoots of Sanatan that I see in the West. They have sort of tried to make Hindu Dharma Abrahamic. You know, that this is the only God, the one true God, and then this is how things are. Whereas if you go to an actual practitioner of Sanatan Dharma and you say true God, one true God, he'll be like, yes, but that God can be represented in so many forms and energies and this. So this whole concept of trying to westernize something that is so beautiful and Eastern does not exist.
But it's trying to make it global, right?
Global to the level of diluting it. There is the whole point of Sanatan Dharma is to reach the Brahmin, to reach the ultimate, to be one with it. Because you have to understand, like if I look at the Shaivite philosophies, it says Chaitanya Atma, Jnana Bandhan.
Can you dissect those a little bit more?
Yes, I apologize. Western audience, I love you. I am learning English for you.
You're learning from. I don't. I barely speak. I'm at like 80 days in my Duolingo learning Hindi. So my Hindi is like this big too.
That's fine. So at least my English is better than your Hindi. So the whole point of religion, you know, when you look at a religion or a spiritual practice, what's the point? So if I look at Christianity, my point is to not sin, to do lots of good things, to have a place in the Lord God Christ heaven. You know, and so that when I'm even praying, my Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name, may your kingdom come. So my eventuality is to be part of that kingdom. But in Sanatan Dharma, what the Shiv yogis say, our approach towards that infinite is not that we are being judged. So Chaitanya Atma means I am God. So I'm not praying to God, I am God.
You're praying to the God within you.
No, forget pray. Okay. I am God. I am God. Second, Gyan Bandh. I am God, but I have forgotten I am God. So I am a God who has amnesia. And I have amnesia because of all my fears, pain, sorrows. Like this third dimension, you know, this gravity, it has this impact upon me. It has that effect upon me. I forget. You know, if I'm drinking too much of alcohol, I forget. If I have too much of substances, too much of sorrow, too much pain, PTSD, I forget. You can forget things. So I am a God who, in this process of many lifetimes, has forgot who is God. So Chaitanya Atma, Jnana Bandh, then Udyama Bhairava. Yes, I have forgotten I am God, but through rigorous effort, sadhana, yoga, tap, meditation, I can remove all these inner obstacles. And then final sutra, Shiv Tulyo Jayate. I will become like Shiva. I will become God. So it begins with I am God. I have forgotten, but here are these divine dharma, these practices that I can bring in my life so I can become once again God. So again, I'm not praying to God. God is not the master of my destiny. I am the master of my destiny. There is nobody judging me. There's nobody going, when I do anything. It's just I have deviated from my true nature, and these practices help me get back to my true nature.
So the forgetting is a part of the process though, right? Because like I listened to this, there's this channeler I listened to once. They're called the Circle of Eight or Circle of Nine. I don't know. I forget what their name is, but they're a higher dimensional consciousness that's being channeled. And they said that the egoic construction is actually a part of God. The reason for it is to help us is to make us forget that we are God, so we can go through the journey of evolution. And so the process of forgetting is the necessary component, right, in order to remember and awaken to and evolve to the next level.
I think more than trying to, again, we are trying to make it as destiny. We're trying to justify the forgetting.
Mm,
I think risk taking is in our genetics. Human beings, the more we take risks, the more reward. So evolution has made us such that we like to test. So when a child is growing up and he sees other people doing risky behaviors, so even once he will like to test, maybe test some substance, test some alcohol, test some other thing. And before he tests, he doesn't know if eventually he will become a recreational user or a habitual user. So we take a risk and we don't know. We don't know that puff short needle that we are doing. Will it take us down the path of homelessness, or will it just be a Sunday, Monday, forget it day? We'll only know once we take that risk. So we take that risk sometimes, and sometimes good things happen, sometimes crazy thing happens, and that is what happens with our consciousness as well. If we are in a state of
Maya meaning illusion.
illusion, in a state of murchit means numb, then when we are living our life and taking these risks, then the path is very dark. But once we awaken, then we are not flowing through this life, we are actually living life. Then life is not happening to us, then life, we are making it happen, and life is happening for us. So this awakening is very, very important, and that is what sadhana does for us. Jagrat, it makes us more jagrat, it makes us more aware. And then forgetting doesn't need to be part of the journey. Why should I need to be kick in the balls to know that kicking in the ball is bad? So sometimes just I look at other person getting kicked in the balls and I don't want to try to find it out myself.
Are there those who are born awakened? I mean, I think when
If
we're
they
born,
are,
we are in full knowledge of what of God, of the
if a
ultimate, of
person
Shiva.
is born awakened, then he comes to help other people. Because it's like, if I'm already awakened, then I do not need to be born. But if I'm being born, then I have a purpose to
So would
help.
that be somebody that has attained enlightenment in a previous life who's coming back with intention, kind of like they say Mahavatar Babaji has?
Mahavatar Baba is what you will say, he's free from the cycle. So people like Mahavatar Baba or Baba Gorakhnath or Adinath or so many other names are there of these siddhas. When you read about them, it's crazy. And I'm not talking now mythology, I'm talking history. So Baba Gorakhnath is a great Shiva yogi. And when you read history of kings like Lalitaditya, Bappa Rawal, he shows up. He shows up as a guide, shows up as a mentor. Nepal Naresh. So one of the most elite soldiers in today's world are known as the Gurkha.
Okay.
And these
Gurkha.
Gurkhas are, if you read about them, they have had the highest medal of honors from all militaries, from the British, from the Indian. They serve they even serve the American military.
Oh, really?
And these Gurkhas, yes.
Are they from India?
Nepal.
Okay.
Nepal. And these Gurkhas, the story is that Baba Gorakhnath was one day sitting and doing Mahamrityunjay sadhana. And then a group of children came who were trying to make toy soldiers. So they asked Baba Gorakhnath, could you help? We can't do. So he kept on doing the mantra and he kept on making the soldiers, and the soldiers came to life. And then these soldiers became like super soldiers because they had his energy. And literally, if you read about the Gurkhas, you will find their red blood cells are off the charts. Their resilience is off the charts. They don't get tired. They're literally like super soldiers. And then he went and he gave them to Nepal Naresh, that here you go. And then he changed history. You will read his interactions with Bappa Rawal. He changed history. You read his interactions with Lalitaditya. Lalitaditya is known as the Alexander of the East. He had such a big empire, and he is the gentleman who brought in the golden age in Kashmir. When we read about all these great universities of India, he was
It
the
was in
Sansthapak.
Vishnu. It was in Kashmir, the one that was
Yes,
burned down by the Mughal
yes.
Empire when it invaded.
The Islamic invasions.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
not the
yeah.
Mughals.
Or
Yes,
yeah. Okay.
but yes. So these guys were all inspired by Baba Gorakhnath, but these guys are hundreds and hundreds of years apart. So how come Baba Gorakhnath can literally time warp?
Mm.
And when you go in India, you will find 17, 18 places claiming to be his samadhi, is the place where he left his body.
Really?
Yes,
17 or 18 different places.
more than that probably.
Wow.
Is because, and everybody claims that this is the genuine one, because he is a consciousness that, we are thinking being born that, oh, you need to come through a mummy and you need to
Mm.
come out and grow up and all this. But these people, these are super consciousness. They just appear.
Mm.
And that's the crazy thing. They're strong all over history, changing history, giving direction to how humanity grows. And then suddenly, when the Kali Yuga comes, and the time consciousness lowers down, all these great men, they just disappear,
Mm.
waiting for consciousness to rise so that they can come back again and guide us into the light.
So the Yug cycle, briefly, is this 24,000 year cycle, right?
According to the Gita.
According
Yes,
to the Gita,
yes.
a 24,000 year cycle of falling and collapse, falling and rising of consciousness. So there's the Satya Yuga, the golden age. Then there's the Treta Yuga, the silver age, the Dwapara Yuga, the bronze age, then the Kali Yuga, the dark ages, and then we start rising back up on the other side. Is there a grander, a Mahayug cycle?
So again, because we are Shiv yogis,
Mm.
we don't study time in this fashion.
Okay.
So this is like the Vaishnava way of explaining it. Like how the yugas were explained to me by the Shaivite philosophies was that, Satyug is when 100% of the people are awakened.
I've heard this actually.
And then Dwapar Yuga is when 25% people go into the darkness. Like they stop walking the path of the dharma. And then as the yuga changes, then it's like 50-50. The good versus evil. And then it's like when Kali Yuga starts to come, then 75-25. It's like more people would go to the dark side than the people who would want pursuit of the light. And as Gaur Kali Yuga starts to come, people start to think of morality and dharma as things that can be discarded, like a banana's peel, and start to think that the only way to success, wealth, happiness is through going to the dark side. And you will see that so much in today's world, where we are dying from inside, but we are smiling for the cameras.
That's what I feel like that's what's happened.
And this is very important. This distinction is very important, because in the other interpretation of Kali Yuga, then you have no power. You are a victim
to time,
to happenings. Then you have to literally wait, like you are waiting for Uber to come and take you away from the shady side of the town. You're waiting for God. Oh my goodness, he's not come yet. When he'll come, and then that gives birth to so many doomsday thoughts, ideologies, and cults. That if you look even in America, you look even in India, as these sects that that tomorrow the world is going to finish, God is coming, this, that, listen to us. And then eventually it's like you are waiting. But in the Shaivite philosophy, you can change the yugas. That if the more people awaken, then you become the creator of your own destiny. Then you have that power to do the change, and then Satyug can come. And that is very beautiful and powerful, because if you look at the Indian culture, you will always find that it was the Mahadev, the Bhakts of Mahadev, who would do the tapasya, and who would say that, no, I don't want fate like this. I don't like the destiny that has been, I will change it. So they would get tapasya and they would get the vardhan,
Vardhan.
special power.
Like Siddhis?
Siddhi is the yogic power that anyone can awaken. Vardhan is like a celestial blessing. So like Ravan had vardhans
Mm.
of or if you look at Hiranyakashyap, he had vardhan that no man could kill him, no woman could kill him, no animal could kill him. He could not be killed indoors, not outdoors. You know, those special powers. And with those vardhans, they would change their lives. So Shiv yogis do not believe in that destiny. They don't believe that they have to wait for God because Chaitanya Atma. Then you have the power, and if the God is there, then he will work through you to make the good things happen. So it is very empowering, this way of life.
I love that. So then, would that be kind of in spiritual communities here? I guess I don't know about India enough, but in spiritual communities here, they say that the spirit of Earth, Gaia herself, is shifting to a five-dimensional frequency, and as such, the people of Earth are starting to shift upwards too, from a third dimensional to a five-dimensional frequency.
If they can.
If they can.
If they can't, then it's a time of crisis.
So then they say that there's going to be this separation that happens where those who are in the fifth are living in the fifth and those who are in the third are living in the third, and there's two separation. What does that exactly mean?
Isn't that already the case? When I go to LA, I see the Malibu people who are living in, I don't know, the 20th dimension. And then I see the Skid Row who are living in -5 dimension.
I mean, it's everywhere.
But again, I'm saying like this statement, I think, is a bit redundant now because we live in a world of have and have nots. Talk about knowledge, talk about opportunity, talk about
the 1%, the 1% of the 1%, and then everybody else underneath.
Precisely, talk about the access to even spirituality. When I come here, I see spirituality has been made, even especially the Eastern spirituality, is a luxury commodity. Things like Ayurveda, which are in our kitchen in India, it's like,
So
what the
expensive.
British like to say, it was the poor people medicine. It wasn't the poor, it was the great medicine. But then, when they were ruling India, they said it's like the poor people medicine, and then they made it into the billionaires medicine.
Well, there was a manipulation with it at some point. I think it was Rockefeller who was the creator of the AMA, the American Medical Association. When he realized that through his own resources, he started financing the disassociation from allopathy, which is like Western medicine, to every other form of medicine, and allopathy could be the only medicine, and everything else is hocus pocus garbage, and that kind of created this center point where now you're seeing in America we're very overrun by pharmaceutical and regular medicinal practices, but actually the true healing sources of like Ayurveda and Reiki and
plant medicine, native medicine.
Yeah, native medicine has just all but disappeared.
Not disappeared. It's being
suppressed,
privatized.
privatized.
And then it will be given back to you, rebranded. But coming back to your thing of Gaia moving to other dimensions, I want you to, if you can, start thinking like a tapasvi. Tapasvi means a person who has the power to change his destiny. Things are not going to happen, things are already happening. Everything happens all the time. When the shift is happening, then also in our head we are like to see everything black and white. That, once you go up, then you can't go down, and once you're down, you can't go up. It's like I was once looking at this Indian version of Heaven Swarg, and I was talking to this person, debating with him, and I had so much fun. Oh my goodness! And he was so angry at me, and he's like, if we really punish ourselves, push ourselves, do upwas, don't eat this, don't eat garlic, don't do anything, then we go to heaven. And when we go to heaven, I said, why would I want to go to heaven? And he's like, oh, in heaven you'll have Apsara, celestial maidens dancing in front of you. And you can drink somras. I'm like, what is somras? He's like, it's like divine alcohol or something.
Oh, that's when they talk about soma and
Yeah, it's like divine nectar. Not
Okay.
alcohol is not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
right word. But, it's like something that gets you high,
Mm,
some high,
Mm.
some exotic spiritual high.
yeah.
And I said, if I want to see women and get high, why do I need to go to heaven to
Just
do it?
here.
I go to Vegas. So, and then it's crazy that the things that are considered sin here are open game there. And then in the theory he was proposing,
It's like a reverse. Like
precisely, and the things that are considered like the things that we do in hell, if we do it here, then in his head that's austerity. Then I showed him all these paradoxes, and then he wanted to whoop me, but thankfully I'm a boxer, so he just went away and he didn't whoop me. But my point is that we try to make these definitions, not understanding that you're north, south, east, west.
it's all one and the same.
You go 1 kilometer up in space and there is no north, south, east, west. You're up, down, right, wrong. It's all subjective. And that's why a tapasvi doesn't bind himself with these philosophies. A tapasvi looks at his dharma, looks at his inner journey, and increases the power of his tap so much that not just himself, he can change the destiny of people that he loves.
Mm.
And one day when he's a siddha, he can change the destiny of the whole world, like how Buddha did.
Mm.
So if you can see yourself as a tapasvi.
So that's actually kind of been happening to me already.
Nice.
Is this essentially kind of like, is this the first step of this is what non-duality is, essentially what Buddhism calls non-duality, where there is no difference between good and bad, dark and light. It's all just Shiva, God, one and the same. And this whole reality is
Ham
just,
brahmasmi shivo ham shivo ham. Yes.
yeah. Okay. So that's already been that's kind of been happening to me. Like the deeper I go into the sadhana path, everything else just seems like like I vibrate so high when I'm doing my sadhana, when I'm doing my japa, chanting, that like the world disappears, and like a part of me just wants to go to the Himalayas and just sit in a cave and do my tapasya, do my sadhana all day. But I also know that I'm obligated to this material realm, at least for right now. It feels like my mandate is
Why
art.
go to Himalaya? I came from there. You can do everything here that you can do there. And you should listen to your calling. People think that it's like when you play Dungeon of Dragon. Dungeon and
D&D,
Dragon.
yeah, Dungeon and Dragon.
Dungeon and Dragon. Then it's like a quest. So in your head you make it's a quest where you have to go to that place, do that thing. Like Indiana Jones. He has to first go get the thingamajiggy, then he is to go and get that thingamajiggy, and then something will happen. So people have made in their head, because of reading all these books like Eat, Pray and Love, that on my quest to spirituality, first stop Bali, second stop Himalaya, third stop this, then I'll have all the things, and then something will happen, and then the Nazi's face will melt. It's right movie, no?
I've actually never read or seen Eat, Pray, Love, but yes, I think that is the right.
No, Nazi face doesn't melt in Eat, Pray, Love. It melts in Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah. That's sorry, I was still stuck on Eat, Pray, Love.
That would have been a good Eat, Pray, Love.
That would have.
I would have liked to see that Eat, Pray, Love. But it's again, it's like saying that there's this story used to be fed in school that Isaac Newton was sitting under a tree, apple fall on his head, and he came up with gravity. And then one day I was learning physics and I'm like, nothing's making sense. Maybe if I sit under a tree, an apple hits on my head. But I live in India. There's no apple tree in Rajasthan where I live. So I'm trying to find some other tree where something can fall on my head. It's good I wasn't in the coastal place, because then I would have sit under coconut tree. Then advanced physics, boom. But again, you cannot empower the apple so much, saying that, oh, it is because of the apple Newton came up with gravity. Newton was a brilliant man. So many times, if you read the actual history of Sanatan Dharma, you will find that the gurus were always very accessible to people. You know, there were some who like to be away from people. That is their calling. But when we read about the Saptarishis, we read about the great monks like Agastya, Vishwamitra.
They were all very available.
Yes, you could go to them, you could learn. How come in the epics they are accessible and they are there? Because you can go, you can learn, because these saints saw it in their head that their real value comes from helping educate the people by keeping the Sanatan alive. And then you have to understand, Indians don't like to talk about their sorrow. We are a very resilient group of people. We'll be stressed, but we will not accept it. We have been taught to suck it up. And this is not just in our day-to-day lives. It's with history also. We have been oppressed a lot. We have had 800 years of oppression, of genocides, of suppression, of invasion. We have been made into slaves. When transatlantic slavery finished, who filled those spots? It was the indentured laborers. It was the Indians that were taken from India to Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Mauritius, and Fiji, and South Africa. But you will never see an Indian talking about it. Indians have been taught to be resilient, because if you weren't resilient, you won't survive. And somewhere down the line, Indians were like, So a lot of the times you would find monks going to Himalayas, not because Himalaya was like the destination to be, but because you have to save your ass. Because so many of the times in history, Kalari Payat was illegal.
Kalari Payat?
The Indian martial arts.
Kalari Payatu.
Yeah, it was made illegal. So many of our arts and sciences were illegal, and if you had to keep it alive, you ran to the hills. You ran to the mountains. And I've met these old lineage, these old saints that are now living there. And you ask them, why, how come you are here? They're like, oh, we were here when some episode happened. They will quote that history, and then I say, well, that was many years ago. Things have changed, life has changed, and now even those people are realizing it is all right to come back into the world. It is all right to share what you have into the world. And you'll see this more and more now as the saints come down from the Himalayas. The real true spirituality will become more and more accessible. So this whole concept that is there in the West, that fulfill the quest, no, all you need is the knowledge. And once you have that knowledge, then you can practice it. You can, if you want remote, you can go to Alaska. The Denali National Park, that for me is the Himalaya of the West. I fell in love with it. So much power, so much mystery. Mount Shasta.
Have you been to Mount Shasta?
The place of the worship of Maharshi Kapil.
Maharishi Kapil?
Yes. So
he was in Shasta. First up, who is he?
He's this great monk. So when I came to India, from India to the West, there is a different story that you all have been taught of being discovered by Columbus and this.
I'm starting to realize how bogus it actually is.
But we Shaivites were taught about America from Sanatan Dharma. Like it's a land, it's always been there, and there were these great people who had access to it. So Maharshi Kapil has done his up in Mount Shasta. And if you go to places like the Grand Canyon, and if you meet some of the native indigenous tribes, you will look at their practices and you will look at the practice of Sanatan Dharma, and you will find many, many similarities.
But that could be said the same when you go to Egypt. That could be said the same when you even go to like, um, I think
Yeah, but Egypt is not that mystery. No, Egypt traded with India. We have proof that it traded, and that it goes well with the history that has been taught to us by the empires. But India having access to North America
Yeah.
is when things get
Crazy.
that crazy, and then it makes us
Or
realize that
even like South America too, the same thing.
precisely that all these people, that these people and the natives here and the natives there that have been taught that, oh, you come from this backward civilization, maybe we weren't so backward after all.
Who is this Rishi whom?
Maharishi Kapil.
Maharishi Kapil. Okay. I'm going to do some research on him.
Yes, please do.
I'm very curious now. So have you been to what's it called? They call it Devil's Tower in the West. It's in Wyoming, Matutapila. Satguru actually put it on my radar, and then I went there a few years ago. And the energy, the Vishuddhi energy there, is so powerful. It was in 21, right after I just got initiated into Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya. I went with another Ishanga. And Satguru said, stay here for 3 days and 3 nights. And we did. It was explosive. Just doing sadhana there. Oh my God. Like, and this was when I was starting to break through. And so, like, this is when I would shake very violently when doing my sadhana consistently. And like, I'd started shaking so violently that my mouth was starting to foam. And then my buddy had started chanting this mantra, and it kind of like calmed the energies. But like, the energy there is so intense.
You can actually see what were the, so you have to understand there are few ways how a place becomes abhimantrit,
Abhimantrit.
enchanted.
Mm-hmm.
How a portal opens in a place, access to other dimension. So one could be it is a natural anomaly that somebody finds, which exists in the Himalayas. But again, if a person like ordinary person goes, he would not understand what to do with it. So you have to be a great meditator, saint, like in Kailash. We have those natural phenomena, those anomalies that can be used, that in our Shaivite traditions was used as the portal to access different lokas. So that was the place from
You just
where
read my mind. I was actually going to go there.
so lok means dimension.
Yeah.
So you could use that place to go to Brahma Lok, you could Shiv Lok, where where all these different civilizations. So ancient India openly talks about India being a galactic, like Prithvi being part of a galactic civilization.
Empire. Yeah.
Where there are different planets, different dimensions, different loka, different beings. It talks of, and it in very detail it talks about various species of people. We have
Where does
Yaksha,
it say this?
Gandharv, Kinnar. This is even in Mahabharat. We have the mention of various species of people. Like in archaeological evidence, we see there is the Denisovans, there's the Homo sapien, Homo erectus, there is the Neanderthals, various people. But ancient India, like it has to be really vast, because when it talks about the Asur, it's actually talking about a species of people which is like the Neanderthals.
You read my mind again.
And it goes so well with archaeology. And then it talks about the yakshas, the gandharvs, the kinnars. Like in Lord of the Rings, you have the elves which have their own powers and all specialities. So it's all there. It's all described, these various people that existed. So my point is, coming back, I know this is very interesting. So naturally the portals can exist. Second is when a siddha, a great master, starts to meditate, and through his enlightenment opens that portals. So there are a lot of ancient traditions, especially in native and indigenous cultures. They go to that place where that portal was opened by some great person. And a lot of these sacred sites are then that calling, that access to that consciousness that was created by that person. So you will find that a lot of holy places in India are not those natural places like Kailash or or Zion National Park, or where there are some in the Grand Canyon. You will find a lot of places in India, especially where the Pandavas did their sadhana. They did the consecration, so they opened the portal. So many of the
So that's what
Jyotirlings,
consecration means, just opening a portal in the space?
it could be described in a way, in this manner.
Ah.
So opening that door to the Shiva consciousness.
Oh. Okay. That makes sense.
Yes, and when there in that spot you practice, then a lot of power, easy, it's easy. It's like swimming with the current. Coming to the third point, as a tapasvi, think like a tapasvi. I said 5 minutes ago, think like a tapasvi. If the Pandavas can open a portal, why can't you?
But they know the practices to do it.
You also then do this tapasvi thing for Californians and your community, open a portal here. Why not?
I mean, that's the goal. But like first I have to lift myself
A
up, right?
culture becomes extinct if it is not accessible. When COVID happened, suddenly there was no travel. And there was this fear, what if there is never any travel? So if your enlightenment is on Himalaya, and if there is no ever access to Himalaya, then there is no enlightenment in this birth. Then why not we work together as tapasvis? That's the new thought I wish to awaken in the youth. We have enough bhakts. Bhakt mean people who are surrendering
Devotion.
to God, like the Vaishnav path, bhakti. I want to now the Shaivite tradition of tap, sadhana. How beautiful it would be, because the West has seen the beauty of yoga, the West has seen the beauty of bhakti, the West has seen the beauty of kirtan. How beautiful if we bring the beauty of sadhana, of tap, then we can have those
powerful.
places, those portals here, and we can help educate the next generation to find their Chaitanya Atma.
That's my dream, and that's my goal, and that's what I feel like is my calling in a certain way. As this path opens up in me more and more and more, I'm realizing that almost is that connection point there to like help awaken the consciousness of all humans. Really, it feels like the mandate right now is entertainment, because that's where my path has been. I mean, meditation and acting have been like synonymous for the last 20 years. It's been about the same.
Oh, but storytelling is a great part of spirituality. If you look at Purans, so when there were a lot of people who were doing the sadhana in the Satyug, we had the Vedas. Then we had the philosophies, as Dwapar came, we had the philosophies, we had the Upanishads. That's very complicated philosophies that you have to really understand, really go deep. And when the yuga started to change, people started to become less and less cognitively powerful. Then we had Purans. Because Puran is a storytelling. You try to explain to somebody Upanishad, the great knowledge in the form of philosophy, he may not get it.
So the Upanishad is philosophy, and the Purana is the story of the philosophy.
No, Purana is stories.
Okay.
Stories. You take the divine knowledge and you try to make it into a story. So we have different stories, and if we look at all the Puranas, then inside them, inside that storytelling, there is knowledge hidden. And if you look at India today, Upanishads are lost. Only very few people know.
Really?
Vedas are lost. Yeah, it's not in common knowledge. You talk to anybody on the street, they will not know Upanishad. They won't even be able to tell how many there are. You
Really?
ask a normal person how many Vedas are there?
5?
Four.
4. I was gonna say 4.
Atharved, Yajurved, Samved, Rigved. So, all that. And again, if I tell me little bit about Atharved, then wow, wow.
I have no.
But if I tell me the story of Ram,
I'm just now starting to
but
read Valmiki Ramayan.
basic things. And
Yeah.
if I ask you a little bit more, tell me the story of Krishna, this, that,
Mahabharata.
you will be able
yeah.
to tell me more. So stories are easy. And that is what has survived in Bharat today. So if you ask any contemporary Hindu, then he doesn't know Shiv Sutras, he doesn't know Vigyan Bhairav, he doesn't know Mahanirvan Tantra, he doesn't know these deeper practices of the sadhus and the yogis, he doesn't even know Patanjali Sutras. He knows Ramayana Mahabharata. Because a simple person, a common person, this is accessible.
Yeah.
And then this is easy to give to the children.
Yeah.
And then this is a rope that you are holding on to, and if one day you want more, then you can take a deep dive and it will open the Sanatan for you.
That's when people say stuff like I've heard Rajasri Nandi has talked about this, where he's sat down.
Who?
Rajasri Nandi, he's a Bhairava Bhakt. He's the one who inspired my Bhairava sadhana. He was a guest on TRS Ranveer show, and he's done several episodes. But then, like
the beer belly guy.
Yes, beer biceps guy.
Beer biceps. Sorry, yes, beer biceps. Isn't it beer belly?
Beer biceps.
Biceps.
Yeah, I think he originally started his channel because he was into working out and drinking beer, and he started it out that way, and that's what it was. And he's rebranded to TRS, but beer biceps is still in there.
Okay.
Nice. But he's had a lot of very, very interesting spiritual guests. As my blossoming is happening, it's almost kind of like I stumbled into his channel, and it's been helping my blossoming. It extends more than him, but Rajasri Nandi was one of his guests, and he's a Bhairav, and he was talking about many different aspects. But he said one thing about studying the Mahabharata. He took 1 week or 2 weeks and sat down and just read the Mahabharata, and that was his sadhana, and turned off all distractions. And the deeper you go into the Mahabharata, the deeper it gets.
Yes. It has many, many layers. Very powerful epic by Ved Vyas. It is the way he has taken the itihas, meaning history, and made it into such a phenomena that if somebody can understand Mahabharata, then he can understand all of human civilization. He can understand human nature. He has explored the psyche in such an elaborate manner. To know the Mahabharata is to know humanity.
Really? So, but in order to really truly understand it, one needs to understand Sanskrit, right? The original language it's written in.
To one really know it, one must know sadhana. One must know how to vibrate at the author's frequency. Otherwise, you are a poet interpreting somebody's work. So what these monks used to do, they used to do this form of channeling. There's this great story of a great saint who used to live, and he had this disciple called Puran Poli. Puran Poli is this sweet roti-like treat. Is made in Maharashtra. And this saint was a great knowledgeable person, and he had this ferocious intellect, and he had a great understanding of scriptures. And then when his time drew near, the question came that who is going to complete his work? And the saint said Puran Poli. And Puran Poli was this adopted gentleman, a kid who was a nobody, who came from nobody, didn't know anything, and the only thing he knew was this sweet treat, and he used to just crave for it all the time. He used to wait in the kitchen when it will be made, so everybody used to just call him Puram Poli. It's the equivalent of you calling somebody Hershey's chocolate. And the saint said Puran Poli will do it, and then they said, this simpleton, how will he do it? And then the saint said, bring me to him. And the saint just put his hand on the head of Puran Poli, and suddenly his third eye got opened, and he could see the universe like his master. So Sanskrit is more than just a language, and to study Sanatan is not just to study Sanskrit, it's to study sadhana. Because Sanskrit is such a beautiful and poetic language that it is open to interpretation. When you read a Sanskrit text, you could interpret it in many ways, and Mahabharata has been written in a very complex manner. There is this whole story of Mahabharata then, that Ved Vyas chose Lord Ganesh to write the scripture. And Ganesh said, I will only write it if you can continuously speak it. And then Ved Vyas said, okay, I will only speak it continuously and if you understand what I'm saying. So as Ganesha continued to write, Ved Vyas started to get tired. And the stipulation was that if he stops speaking, Ganesh stops writing. So as the chapter continued, Ved Vyas chose to make it more and more complicated because he was getting tired. So when he would make more complicated, then Ganesh would take some time to think that what did it mean? And then Ved Vyas would rest. And then he would write some more. And then Ved Vyas, as chapter goes on, it gets more complicated. And it was consciously made more complicated so that Ganesh could take time to understand what was being said and Ved Vyas could rest. So imagine just knowing Sanskrit, you can't understand. It's like saying just by knowing English, I can understand algebra. I can see sin cos theta a b square minus this that, but that doesn't mean I understand jack. So you have to do sadhana as well. So that's why Sanatan, and again that's why I said to know Sanatan you cannot look at it from an Abrahamic lens. That is why many times I go to all these Ivy League schools and I go to the professor of Hindu studies and I look at it and I feel ashamed by what they have done to our culture and our scripture. You don't know anything about it. All you're seeing is caste system and all this nonsense bullshit that is being propagated in the name of Sanatan. You don't understand.
But it's all religiosity.
Is.
It's the religification.
You can't take
all of
something and look at the other thing through the lens of that one thing you know. So they have done disservice to our sutras, they have done disservice to our knowledge, because Sanatan cannot be learned and memorized like theology. It has to be lived, it has to be practiced. So what Rajshri Nandi said is right. He seems like an intelligent man, that he meditated on the scripture, shut off all outside things. He didn't read it. He said, I closed myself and then I lived it.
He said he read it and he meditated on it.
Meditated. Again, precisely, beautiful. He is an intelligent man, hence proven. You cannot read the scripture if you do not meditate upon it. And that is when the real essence, the soul of the sadhana is revealed. That is why you will find people like Kabir Das, a great Indian poet monk.
Okay.
He wasn't that well read, but his philosophies are the next level because your third eye is open.
It's kind of like that one guy, the mathematician who
Ramanuj.
Yeah, and he was a Kali Bhakt, right?
Yes, and he used to say, Kali gave me the theorems.
Yeah, and his research is still unfolding
at the God frequency, and that is what sadhana does. So you start to vibrate at that frequency.
So how much sadhana does one need to do in order to vibrate at that frequency?
Not how much, quality, not quantity. It's about the right sadhana for you. And that is where the guru comes into play. The right guru, the right path is very, very important, because the guru will look at you and the guru will see that you are unique, you are special, your journey is special. And based upon your journey, he will give you the diksha. Diksha is the most beautiful and personal thing that the guru can do to you. Diksha is like, when you are being born in the mother's umbilical, this uterus, you are a cell, and that cell can remain in the mother's womb and then nothing can happen, and then 30 days later it will come out as the period blood, as the menstrual cycle. In the same way, a person is like that cell. You can born and die many times, and the mother every month, is going through that process, but then she fall in love, and a person comes, and then he put that seed inside the cell, and that fertilization happen. So the guru diksha is like that fertilization. That's something he gives, that power, that abhimantran to you, and then suddenly boom, 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 you start changing, you start growing, you start evolving, and you start to become this beautiful, amazing, wonderful person. And if the guru did not exist, it would not have happened. And then people say, oh no, I have 30 gurus, 50 gurus. It's like, how can you say your father is one only? If you are thinking like that, that means you have not, like a woman, if she says, oh, my son has 50 fathers, how it can be like that? That means the cell is still the cell when the right guru will come.
How does one find their right guru and know when they found their right guru? And how does then one know that the right sadhana that they're doing is the one for them?
You will know when. It's like, how will you know you'll fall in love? When you fall in love, you get to know you've fallen in love. When that experiences will start to unfold, you will experience that something like this has never happened to me before in my life, and now it's happening. My emotions are changing, my breath is changing, the way I observe stimulus is changing, the way I interact with energies is changing, the way the divinity is flowing through me is changing. Like, even when we read the Bible, it says that when John the Baptist put Jesus, baptized him, then the heaven opened and the dove came in through his sastrar, the light entered, and then that was it. So the same, this is the example of diksha. And then we are trying to say, oh, all religions are different.
And John the Baptist traveled through the Himalayas. I'm reading this very fascinating book called Masters of the Far East right now. It was recommended to me by a friend. It was written by these three British researchers in 1894. They went to India to live with and travel with Himalayan mystics for 3.5 years, learning from them, watching them, studying them, um, to understand if what they said about their siddhis, the powers that they had, were real or whether it was all fabricated. And it's like, I think it's a 5-volume book. I'm just finishing volume 1 right now. But they say that the mystics that they lived with, that they traveled with, one was 200, one was 500, one was 700. And then at the end of volume 1, they're visited by a 1,000-year-old mystic, who and like this village that they were in, there was no electricity in there, but it was filled with light and warmth, and that food would just appear in an instant and disappear in an instant. Really magical stuff.
See, that's the cultural difference. I don't find it magical because these places do exist. So it's like, if for the first time, if somebody comes,
like, this is Harry Potter for me.
It's because you're not exposed to it. For the when European first time went to Africa and somebody explained a gorilla, must have seemed like Harry Potter stuff, but then you eventually see a gorilla. So the same is where I lived, where I was born, the things that I saw. I thought everybody knew, because these things are a way of life. I remember where I grew up, there was this monk. His name was Hafiz Ji, and I grew up in a monastery in the Aravlis.
Where's that?
Aravlis is in Rajasthan.
Okay.
And Aravali is the oldest mountain range in the world. It used to be taller than the Himalayas.
Really?
Yes. But then it went down, 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 and through geographical changes, is now known as the Black Mountains. Okay. It's a place of mystery and magic and stories and spells and
Really?
yes.
Never heard of this before.
Well, now you did.
Now I have. Thank you.
And it's the desert.
Okay.
And there, I was telling you about Hafid. So he used to come and we used to like him because he used to bring good from the kids, for the kid. Good is like sugar cane, not sugar
cane. Yeah, real sugar.
Yeah, is the first process of molasses to, when from sugar cane you're making sugar, it's like one of the in betweens. And he used to bring for kids. And I remember talking to a grandfather, like a very old monk, very old, the oldest guy in the monastery. And he said, yeah, I remember Hafid. He used to bring candy for me also when I was your age. I'm like, what? And he said, yes. And when I was young, the oldest monk said Hafid used to bring candy for us also when I was his age. So it's like, we don't know the age of Hafid. And you go and you ask Hafid, what's your age? It's, and again, you're saying 100-year-old person, 300. Because the Western eye was looking at these monks. If you live 1,000 years, you think you'll keep a track of time? It's like you after some time you forget the whole point of birthday cakes and year celebration and all this is, if you know you are limited. When you are unlimited, and I would go and I ask Hafiz, I was like, how old are you? And he would sometimes laugh and I say, as old as the mountain. And I didn't think like what it meant. And now when I study the Aravallis and the geography of it, like the bro was 1,000,000 year old, but I don't know. But those people did exist, and I saw them,
and they still do exist.
Since I came to the West, I haven't seen anybody. In the East, and maybe the West has its own legends and myths. I have not yet interacted with anyone, but I'm hoping to unravel them here as well. But yes, there where I grew up, in the monasteries, in the ashrams, it was day-to-day life.
That's and that's kind of circling back to why the Himalayas are calling me. Not only to deepen my sadhana, but to find the sadhana that will do that for me, that will awaken me to the next level. Which it's been progressive. Like the like Shambhavis, like the Isha sadhanas, they woke me to a certain level.
Imagine if 20 boys like you make Colorado the new Himalayas, or like Denali National Park the new Himalayas, or
but it can't. But I mean, I'm not saying it can't be. It can be.
What is that place where I went to? Appalachia Trail.
Yeah.
Make that the new Himalayas. I'm not saying don't go to the Himalayas. Go to the Himalayas. Do what you want. But I'm just saying they were made by great men, and that greatness can travel. And we need that. We need greatness to spread. But yes,
I wholeheartedly
going back
agree.
to the Himalayas, and maybe one day we'll go. Maybe, and it's very important to go. It's like the first time when I traveled. I remember I went to Malaysia. I didn't speak the language. I didn't understand anything. I was just with the tour bus. I walked the tour path, and I went back home, and I just interacted with the 5 desis who were with me, and I ate the theplas that we had packed.
Theplas?
It's a Gujarati roti.
Okay.
And that's it. So in a way, I never even went to Himalayas. I went in that Indian bubble. I didn't even go to Malaysia. I went in that Indian bubble to a foreign country, and I remained me. So I was untouched by the Malaysian experience. And the same is, if you are not ready for the Himalayas, then Himalayas won't reveal anything to you.
Okay.
And that is why that readiness is important. But that is the paradox. If you are ready for the Himalayas, then Colorado can be your Himalayas.
There's like a chain that's almost like tied to my heart, like my heart chakra. It almost like pulls. And the deeper my sadhana has been getting, the more it's been pulling.
Why don't you go?
Oh, I am. I'm going this summer. That's already like.
Come with me to the Mahakumbh.
I really want to, bhai. I wanted to.
I'm like the expert guide.
I know,
I can
but
take you there.
I wanted to go,
And I can show you all those
and I
places.
tried to register,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got onto the registration page, and my credit card got declined. The second I resolved it, I got back to the page, and it was all full.
Yeah, it's like the
And so
Taylor Swift concert of spirituality.
and so like I talked to Bhaira about, and he said to me, he's like, child, you don't need to go. If you want to go, you can, but you don't need to.
Now I'll say to you, if you wanna go, don't worry, we'll make arrangements. You come.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes, you can counsel with Bhairava and tell me. It's fine.
I've actually been praying that like a path might potentially open up, and if a path opens up, then I will go. It just opened. That's amazing. Thank you, bye. Um, so that's really cool. That threw me off. Thank you. I'm very grateful.
You're most welcome.
Yeah.
There's a reason you are here sitting with me, so close access.
Yeah.
Must be a reason.
Yeah.
Let me take you. If you really want to go and there's this pool and all this happening, why wait? You are a thinking now, a tapasvi now. Create. A Shiv Yogi never complain. A Shiv Yogi creates.
I surrender. I'm in the. So this download kind of came into me. I don't know where. I don't know how. I don't know. I think it was like a few years ago. It was devote, abandon, dissolve, become. And I started realizing that, I think it was last year, the year before last, that abandon means surrender. And so I really started realizing around last summer what it means to surrender. What does this mean to you? Devote, abandon slash surrender, dissolve, and become. Does that mean anything to you?
This is, you just described Sanatan.
Is that really?
Sanatan is learn, earn, spend, leave. That is the whole thing that they teach, because it's like the brahmacharya ashram. Brahmacharya ashram is learning. Learning is you devote yourself to something. You're like you are just dedicating yourself to knowledge. Now brahmacharya, after that comes grast. Now you learned it. Now you use it to earn. Run out into the world, practice all your learning, and once you have earned it, then even spend it, enjoy it.
That's artha, right? So dharma, artha, kama, moksha.
In a way, yes. And then you spend, and then you enjoy. And I'm not going to use the word calm, because the kama word has been very, very charged, but I mean it in a
sexualized manner,
yes,
in that sense. Yeah.
yes. So enjoy. I mean enjoy.
Mm.
And then after some time, leave.
Mm.
So that is the Sanatan Dharma, and that is beautiful. That is what leads to evolution, and that is complete. That is the whole way to Shiv Yoga.
Mm.
And that last leave is very tough for some people.
Mm.
And I saw this when I was working in hospice. I saw that, in America especially, we spend so much time in people invest in teaching them how to live. Nobody knows how to die. Nobody knows how to let go.
Mm.
Nobody knows how to leave. And all these people in their sorrow, drugged to their eyebrows and in a state of complete unawareness, leaving behind what they made, and that death makes the whole life meaningless. Whereas a yogi, he's mastered all four steps. He has learnt also, he has earned also, spent also, and then he is left, he's free. And that freedom is the most beautiful thing in the world. And every yogi, every spiritual practitioner is trying to reach to that state of real freedom. And even I, if you ask me, is it same living in the world as living in the monastery. No, monastery life is living life in easy mode. When you play video games,
Mm.
you play it in the easy mode.
Mm.
Everybody is nice and kind, all the food is organic, there's no challenge to
Yeah,
life, there's nothing.
yeah.
Who do you forgive? Everybody is so sweet to you. uh, there is no
It's kind of like
anger.
when Buddha left his when Gautama Buddha left his palace for the first time, and then he saw. Was that an experience for you? Like you saw the world in disarray?
My experience was, yes, I was overwhelmed.
Hmm.
I was overwhelmed, and like I went through all these stages. First, I thought I'll just, yeah, first, the Florence Nightingale mode. I will fix everyone. I will take everybody's pain, and then I realized pain is endless. People just on keep on giving, and I keep on taking, and then I realized, no, this has to be a better way.
Hmm.
So then I realized that I can't be the savior. If I'm the savior, then I'll eventually be the martyr.
Like Jesus, Yeshua.
Yeah, so I don't want to be the martyr.
Hmm.
Then I said I'll teach people how to be their own saviors.
Hmm.
That's my journey, to teach people how to be free.
I love that, and I think that's really, really what's needed because like we're all just our own creator. Like we're all Shiva. Like you like to say Mahadev. Like we're all Mahadev. We're all God in physical form, and we're all just reflections of each other too. And so like, why not just tap into that? Like, but every time I try to encourage others who are not on the path already, or even if they are already on the path, every time I try to like encourage them to do a sadhana of sort, there's always resistance to the point of non-doing. My mother is a prime example. I've since 2020, I've tried to. 2020, she fell. There was this an autoimmune disease kind of befell her, and she's gone through the medical thing and it's balanced it, but it hasn't made it better. It has not gone. I learned the power of Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya, and it transformed me in such a way. And I tried to give it to her. Finally, I bought it for her. I forced her through the initiation. She gave me so much resistance through the initiation, so I don't even think she received it well enough. But she has no desire to do it now. Nobody, like, even friends, like I've tried to encourage them, like, how do you spread sadhana if nobody wants to do sadhana? That's why I feel like entertainment is the way for those who don't have this spark in them.
So there are a few ways. In simplest way is through native medicine. A lot of cultures would do this. They would have things like ayahuasca, or they would have various medicines,
Mm.
and just reveal to a person, through those experiences,
And that opens the spark.
just reveal. It's like tourist visa. Give them tourist visa to see, and then if they want citizenship, and the trouble with this is that many times you just like the tourist visa so much,
And you become attached to it.
then you just want the same tourist visa again and again. And the
Mm.
trouble with this is, if you are not doing it with the correct person, it's a medicine.
Yeah.
It's a medicine. If you don't have the correct professional with you, like the shaman, the person, then imagine you are going in a plane that has no pilot. Then you can have what is called a bad trip also.
Mm.
Instead of seeing the spark, you can come back seeing the devil also.
It also teaches you.
You can look at it that way, but look at a person who's already fighting with his devils. So
That was me for a while.
and then you see all that. It's again, you are taking a risk.
Mm.
And I see a lot of times, especially when I'm with my veteran friends, They have been told that this is the only way to let the spark come up, and it's the easy way. So then you get to see that dopamine hit, and then people just hold on to it in an unhealthy manner. The other way is to build upon it like the yogi build upon it. Slowly. You start with the physical practice, with the yoga. Then you go a little bit more towards the consciousness practices, the tantra. And again, when I say tantra, I don't mean the sexualized version of tantra. Tantra means union. So union through
Wait,
the mind.
Tantra means union? I thought, doesn't yoga also mean union?
Yoga is also union, and tantra is, in a way, as well, going into those deeper practices.
Okay.
And when we do that tantra through the visualization, through those practices, then the consciousness go a little bit more up. Because if you look at Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, they are simple practices, simple yet so profound, yet so beautiful. A simple Vigyan Bhairav practice, I will tell you, Tantra practice. Again, you must have heard that, oh, Tantra means...
Tantra has been a path that I really want to go on, actually.
Yes. So again, you don't need a lady.
No. I realize that
I'll
it's
tell
technology.
you the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra one practice. Just meditate and visualize inside you vacuum. That there is nothing. There is no bone. There is no blood. You are just a balloon that is expanding and contracting with the breath. And meditate in that vacuum, in that shunya. And as you keep on meditating in that shunya, the Shakti will be revealed to you. So this is a simple Tantra practice. I'm not saying this is the only practice.
That simple is Tantra?
Very basic, I'm just saying. Wow. Simple. It goes from it builds from here. If you want to take the Tantra part, then it gets more majestic. But I'm just saying that you need to dip in it. If you want to go into sadhana, you need to dip in it. You need to go to its door. You need to smell its fragrance. You don't need to go very deep, but you need it to build yourself. Then there is the bhakti practices. Slowly, then there is the bhakti. You do the bhakti, you do the like devotion. Nam jap, kirtan.
Nam jap, chanting a name of a deity.
Yes. And then slowly, when you build yourself with these practices, then you are ready for the ultimate, the sastra. And that is sadhana. Very rarely you straight away take sadhana to a person. He may not be able to do it. That is why I always make people do the Lalita Rudra Trishati jap. The mantras, with that mantras, they can do the jap. They can feel the bhakti. They can have that connection. Then I take them into sadhana.
Is YOI then sadhana, Yoga of Immortals sadhana?
YOI is the precursor. It is the mastering of the body and the breath. Because you can't just do sadhana if you have no mastery on the body, breath, and the consciousness. How can you fly a broken plane? If you want to go deeper, then the more better your control over the body, breath, consciousness, and awareness is, then the higher you can go. And these are the preliminary practices, the guidance, the slow build, the slow
building
and
the
steady,
energy in the system.
Making yourself, yes, building the energies and also becoming capable. Then sadhana is everlasting, long, beautiful, and enlightening. And many people don't want to take that route because they are just so exhausted in life. So they like the biochemical route because it's easy. But then again, it's not, you can't tap into it yourself. You'll always be dependent on something. Whereas the yogi, he can tap into it anytime, anywhere. So again, coming back to your mom.
Yeah.
Understand her. Be loving towards her. Be compassionate towards her. What worked for you, yes, you want to share it with her. But it took you a long time to reach to that place where it worked for you. So you are denying her that journey of realization and exploration and eureka.
I want to like at least enlighten the spark within her
So I said, then
at
slowly
this end of her life to hopefully open the door to
start
the
with
next.
little bit by why. Start with LRT.
She doesn't want to.
Mummies love it. Then sit next to her and do it.
Mm.
Then she will like it. She will see your dedication in it. She will see how lovingly you have changed.
She sees this, and they like. I was just over in Sacramento, and they were here. Like, and like I sit in the bedroom and I do my chants and I do my sadhana. It to my dad, it kind of irritates him. To my brother, it kind of irritates him. To my mom, she's just like, oh, she rolls her eyes. You're doing so much sadhana. What's wrong with you? But then, like on the other end, she does puja. Like she goes to the temple and she sits in the temple and watches, and does a little bit of puja at home. But like when I've talked to her, when I've tried to have these deeper
Mm.
conversations with her, she's like, I'm all about action. Like my life is about action, just doing it. And I get that. And I get that. The only way to create is by action, by doing. But then on the same end, please do, mom.
Families are complicated. Imagine the yogi, and I've seen it in the life of many yogis. They could convince the world, not their families.
But even then, like the world doesn't even want to. Like I've I've had several different friends. It's starting to change a little bit, I think. Like I think some people are starting to like get inspired. Like for example, I've just recently realized that Paramahansa Yogananda is buried in Los Angeles. He is a crypt, actually like 10 minutes away from my house. Crazy. I didn't even realize this. And so I've started sitting down and meditating with him. And then I've started like I have a friend now. She's like wants to come join me and sit down and meditate with him. And it's like it's very powerful. And I keep on giving people like the simple sadhanas, like the Isha Kriya, which was my gateway into this, which was like a very powerful practice, simple 12-minute practice. And then like I offered that. I'm like, if you want to do it, do it. Here it is. And if you want to go more, then let me know if you go further. You know.
The Shiva yogis are, we use physics. Physics is do not let the ego seduce you in a way that if somebody doesn't want and I put my energy again and again and again, then they push harder. A person doesn't want, and then there are people who do want.
Mm.
So try to inspire those who do want.
Mm.
And why are we looking at just friends and family? Because again, the illusion of these are mine people, these are not. When you are a Shiv yogi, then everyone is your people.
They're just the
Then
people in my immediate frequency.
Vasudeva Kutumbakam, meaning the whole world, the blessings to the whole world. The whole world is the family. And again, try to help those who want to be helped. And what is going to happen is there is going to be a movement. And the thing about movements are they have this crazy gravity about them that a person who will be very skeptical in the beginning, once he sees a movement, then he will, you know, and I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it does happen. It's human nature.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. 107,000 US.
Yeah. It's gnarly. When at one point it was like pennies.
Yeah. That was a good time.
Yeah. And now it's still a good time because like Trump has these tariff proposal, which is like starting crashing the market. It's another story. But so it seems very clear to me that many people live on this frequency of fear right now. Does that lead into this hesitancy of doing sadhana? Is there benefit to fear? Like, what's the purpose for people being so stuck on this frequency of fear?
See, the trouble is we are changing as a species, we are changing the behaviors that we are doing it's not found in nature, biology. If you look at the last 20 years, the non-substance abuse, the gadget addiction, and all those things, it's very unnatural behavior. Having this porn of information and sights and sounds where things are too much beautiful than they really are, and this unrealistic expectation, and sometimes I fear and shudder as a meditation teacher, because you're talking about fear, and my fear is right now, what is the carrot you dangle to a spiritual person? You dangle the carrot that, oh, you will see your God, so please let's meditate. Tomorrow they are going to be AR glasses or what chips inside, so you are already seeing all your gods and heavens everywhere. What carrot you will dangle? Or to a spiritual person you dangle the carrot of, oh, your mind will open this that, and you will have like the experience of mushrooms and this, and then you have a button, and then all these things will happen, and they're trying to do that, like I saw this VR headset, and then they are saying, oh, this is like consciousness and this and that, and it's not. It's not. It's hollow. It's hollow, and it's not giving you that satisfaction. It's like not drinking water, but just licking the picture of water. It's not quenching your thirst. It's the prettiest picture you've ever seen. And now, what's going to happen to that generation in 20 years, since the advent of technology, of smart technology? The mental health of the youth has steadily depreciated to what it was year over year, and COVID exasperated the numbers. Anxiety, suicide, depression. Suicide, I was amazed when I was doing research in California. In 3 out of every 10 youth had contemplated self-harm. These are horrific numbers.
I mean, if I can share my personal story, that was me. I was severely depressed as a teen, suicidal. I had stumbled into weed. My friends encouraged it to me. Looking back on it, I think it was intentional. The weed came into my life because I think that was the initial spark for me. I've done mushrooms handfuls of times. I don't feel a need for it anymore. In fact, my sadhana is now built up to a point that like it gets me higher than
The way you were
the substances
describing
do.
it before the interview, that you trip in your sadhana.
I do. Like the physical reality dissolves when I'm in sadhana, in deep states of sadhana. Chanting, you're talking about seeing God. I see Bhairava. Outside now, I hear God talking to me like this, and I people sometimes look at me like I'm crazy when I talk about this, but like I've gotten just more open to talking about it now because like actually in Masters of the Far East, it kind of gave me permission to do this now because I'm like, well, if Jesus talks about talking to his father, why can't I just talk openly about talking to my father? You know, because he's literally talking to me all the time. So, I mean, that was my history, that was my experience, but I think that like I feel like everything that we go through needs to is purposeful and intentional to bring us to where we're going. And I feel like this substance abuse culture and the gadget addiction culture, I think we're going to start seeing a counterculture growing because of it. Gadget addiction already, there's already a subculture growing, a sub counterculture in the youth that don't want technology. My nephew, my brother and his partner are raising him on no screens, no phones, very, very limited amounts. But he reads all the time. He just wants to read books. He was opening up this morning when he was going to school. He grabbed my Sri Ladata Rudram book, and he's like, "Oh, I like that." He sat with me in sadhana one day. Bless that kid. There's a yogi in him. I know there is. He grabbed the Sri Ladata Rudram book, and he's like, "Oh, I like this book," and he started flipping through the pages. And like my brother had to grab him to go to school. He's like, "Stop, put the book down. Let's go. Let's go."
and he's just flipping through the Srila Datta Rudram pages. I'm like, this kid is blessed. But I think he's I don't think that he's the outlier. I think that more and more people are waking up to this.
They are waking up to this, but at the same time, we cannot be the Amish. Eventually, the way we are curating life, I had no access to phones till I was 25. And now, if I have to do anything, I need a taxi, I need a phone, I do anything. You need it. The way life has been made, even my like the card payment, everything. So you can't be away from it. And at the same time, the research that has been happening is to make it more and more addictive, to make your attention into a commodity. So yes, the counterculture may grow, but it may not have the resource presently, and if not trained correctly, to fight that which is being made stronger. So coming back to your question of fear, if this is the only thing that we have, and I suddenly ask you to let go of it and try to go within, then the fear comes, go into what? Many times in Shiva Yoga we do death meditations. And there is a point in death that comes, and which will come for you also. And think about it. The point will come when you are nothing, your body has been burnt, and your family has left you, and you are ash on the ground. And that ash is not male, not female. That ash has no job or deadline. That ash cannot watch the next Avengers 36th movie, or I don't know what you're looking forward to this year. And then how do you feel? And that purposelessness, that being stuck to that place and not being able to go, because we are just restless people and we don't know we are restless. We don't know how afraid we are because we're just going from one place to another. Is as if we are constantly being chased by our tiger, and we are just being one step away, and if we stop, then all those things that we are running from catch up to us, and we don't want that. So we just run from reel to reel, and we just run from experience to experience. We just run from high to another high, so that that thing that we have been pushing back, it doesn't catch up to us. And one day it will. One day time will catch up, one day that anxiety will catch up, and that day, if you don't know how to slay your demons, or if you don't know how to control them, they will consume you. And that's why we do those death meditations, that this will happen. Now what you do? Now you can't rely on your family for comfort, you can't rely on your even holy books for comfort. We have nothing. This is you, this is who you are. So then you face that fear, and then you become stronger and stronger, because fear comes from uncertainty. The more we know, the less afraid we are. We are afraid from the darkness because we don't know what lies there. We are afraid of death because we don't know what lies after it. Knowledge takes away fear, and that is why it is called Atma Sakshatkar, the true knowledge of the soul. You've done it, you have that Sakshatkar, you've seen the soul, you have that knowledge. Now you are free. So freedom from fear can only come through that divine knowledge, and that divine knowledge can only come through inner discovery. Will it be easy? No. Will I have to face my fears? Yes. That's why guru, empowerment, community are all things that help. Because if I just somebody who's not like you I'm taking to Mahakumbh, you are exception. But if a normal
I'm just
person,
Shiva Bhai.
if a normal person, I say, leave everything, come, it will be very tough for them. So that's why we give them a community, we give them some few things to to be with, to play with, so that they can jump and know themselves. Because end of the day, even mantra bhi झुंझुना है.
Mantra bhi junjuna hai.
Junjuna is like doggy barking. They give him ball. Pacifier. So the guru gives you a few things. He may give you a ganguti. He may give you a mantra. He will give you a few things so that you feel you have something, and then you are holding on to it. And while you are holding on to those things, he'll strip you of your ego. He'll strip you of your so many things. And then when you are like, oh, where my ego went, then he will strip you of the things that he gave you. And then one day you are nothing, and in that nothing you become everything. Those junjunas are sometimes
I love that
useful.
path. I love that path. That's my own personal, like, that just comes from inside somewhere, and I don't know where that comes from. But like, I wish that more people would get inspired with that. Just a taste, a spark of something to like drive them forward, instead of just the monotony of this physical realm. Because there's so much to get tempted by, but like, when you start tasting what's beyond the physical, it's like, what is this? I want to know more. I want more. And then you start dissolving, and you're like, what is this? I want to go further. That's why the Himalayas.
Do not think, again, I'm saying you.
I know.
Final frontier is this.
I know. Because it's all here. It's all mental. The whole physical reality is just a mental construction.
See, that's why people are like, oh, Bharat is the place where people will get enlightened. Bharat, we know about enlightenment because the civilization is continuous. Maybe people got in Egypt enlightened, we don't know. Maybe we had enlightened berserkers under Odin's glory in the Viking age, and we don't know, because when Christianity spread, it liked to destroy stuff. Maybe we had enlightened Aztecs.
I think we did.
And Mayans, and all these different, in Tenochtitlan, maybe there were a bunch of enlightened people.
I theorized this. I don't even theorize
And
it.
the same when the
it.
expansions happened of various religions, the destruction of previous cultures happened. So the only access we have to enlightenment is in the East, because the East is probably the only preserved continuous tradition that exists today. Everything else is baby, new on this planet, baby.
Even the pagan traditions were very deep. Like, I was listening to this Ranveer again. He did this very, very, very interesting podcast because he's getting deep in the tantric path. He had a very interesting conversation.
Listen to this guy. What's his name?
Ranveer Aladhaba.
Allah Dhaba?
No, Allah. I don't know his last name. But TRS. Allah Bada, or Allah something. But TRS, the Ranveer Show. He has very interesting conversations. In fact, he was the inspiration for this podcast for me. But he was talking to this British occultist who is a magician in his own right. And the conversation was connecting the points between Vedic Tantra and Western Tantra. And where do they differ? Where do they connect? Where do they meet? And he was actually saying something interesting, how like when Christianity came through, it was so destructive that all the roots, a large majority of the roots of the pagan traditions were destroyed. The practices were all destroyed.
True.
And so when the British started going to India and discovering the wealth of knowledge that came there, the Western occultic practices actually started adopting some of Sanatan Dharma and applying it and integrating it into their practices. And so like deities like Ma Kali.
We have siddhas. Deities like Ma Kali, finish that. You just took the name of my mother. What was your thought?
Deities like Ma Kali are big influence in some paths of Western occultism.
So deities like Ma Kali, if you look at the Romani people who originate from India, then the Ma Kali became some ways Black Madonna.
Mm.
because these were the cultures, the Romanis, the Gypsies, that went from Bharat and emigrated to various Eastern European countries, and they were never fully integrated.
Mm.
And they kept so many of our practices of the home remedies, the medicines, the tantra,
Mm.
and then the things warped. So the migration was always there, and my original chain of thought being that, because we have access to continuous knowledge from India, then we think that enlightenment is just India. But that's not the case, because enlightenment can happen anywhere. We have legends of people like Merlin in England. That's a siddha.
Mm.
And so many people in the Bible, those are siddhas. Those are the great enlightened beings.
Mm.
And it exists. So my point is, you can get enlightened anywhere.
Yeah. What is enlightenment exactly?
What does it mean to you? Because you want it more than anything. Because my enlightenment, don't worry, I have it, I got it. What are you looking for? Explain it to our audience.
Freedom from the chains and the bonds of this physical realm.
So you feel you are bonded?
This journey through life has been one of challenge after challenge after challenge. But I realize now growth after growth after growth. When I was going through it, and I'm still going through it, but in my previous perception, it was like climbing the mountain only to fall in the hole again, climb back up, fall in the hole again, climb back up, fall in the hole again. I desire just freedom from like just the stress of it all, the exhaustion of it all, the rat race of it all. I just want to be able to create and do and be and inspire.
Is the impression of the exhaustion still there in the mind somewhere?
Yeah.
How do you deal with it?
Sadhana. And that's where sometimes it becomes so stressful that the weed becomes a thing again. But like, I keep on trying to pray to break it now. And I'm like more and more intentionally breaking it as much as I can.
Why do you hate the weed?
I don't hate it. I love it.
And why do you want to break? Like, what is this impression?
For me, it's so I've realized that marijuana, it's almost like an amplifier. It can amplify anything. It can amplify hunger. It can amplify laziness. It can amplify sadhana. It can amplify anything. But it's an anchor. And it's an unnecessary anchor.
So bondage.
Bondage.
And you want freedom from the bondage.
Yeah.
All bondage.
Yeah.
And then how will you look like? Describe me enlightened Sumit.
Just peace and bliss constantly. I had this moment where when I was in, it was my first time ever experiencing this. Satguru talks about it often, where you can be stoned without being stoned. And that was like going to Matutupila, and then we went to Yellowstone afterwards. So Matutupila tore me open, and then we went to Yellowstone, and the energy in Yellowstone is ridiculous, gnarly. I think it's because there's a super volcano underneath there. I theorize that has something to do with the energy.
Oh, it has a portal there. I've been.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's explosive. There's this waterfall, magnetic waterfall. And there was this spot that it like, my buddy found right there. He was sitting there meditating for a little bit, and then he got up and he let me meditate there. And I felt like immediately I was just connecting with generations of people who sat there. And then we left. We walked
You
up. We
got
did.
to experience quantum tangling.
I think so.
Shiv Yoga Sanatan Parampara. When you have access to People who've been consciousness that exists, energy cannot be destroyed.
Mm.
You experience that.
Mm.
It's nice. Did they speak to you?
No,
You just felt them.
I just felt them.
One day maybe they'll speak to you. I don't know.
I think that might be starting to happen a little bit, and that's why I like sitting with Paramahansa Yogananda just in meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Vivekananda also has roots in Los Angeles, um, and he has this house in Pasadena that he stayed in for like a week, and in Orange County he has a whole estate. And I was going to go with my friend there, but things just didn't work out. And then I just was Googling other Vivekananda places, and I came across this house, and we went to go meditate there.
If you really, really like to go places, let me tell you a place.
Mm. Please. I love going to places.
Dakshineshwar,
Where's that?
Calcutta.
Okay.
You will thank me later.
Dakshineshwar. Okay. I haven't been to South India yet.
It's not South India.
Calcutta's South India, right?
No, it's not South India. It's like me saying that Texas is north of America.
Where is it?
You Americans.
I am so ABCD, American born confused Desi. Like the epitome of. And I'm like, there's a yogi awakening in me. I don't know where, how, what.
No, it's on the eastern side of Calcutta, Eastern Ghat,
Okay.
eastern side of India.
Is that near where Varanasi is?
No, stop misquoting geography. It's okay. It's fine. You don't know geography. I understood.
American education at its finest, right there.
Why would Americans teach about where Calcutta is? Stop dissing on your country. Be patriotic.
America's a system to be hacked.
Okay. I don't know what that means. Maybe you'll teach me later.
That's one of the other processes that I'm going through eventually. It's like in the next couple of years. So like enlightenment then means just.
You described it beautifully. You said it's freedom. Freedom from the rat rate and the impressions. Freedom from anything that controls you. Freedom to be. That's your description, by the way.
Yeah.
I have a different one. People will have different one. Let us leave it at that. That enlightenment is something that is to be explored.
I love that. I think that's a good ending note for this one. There are some more.
No, you can ask.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for joining us in part 1 of this spectacular conversation. Stay tuned for part 2.
Howdy, Dang Life Mastery fam. I'm still here, enjoying this beautiful sunrise with these spectacular views in Varanasi. I hope that you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. It was so full of lessons and wisdom, and for me, I just took away so much from it. And honestly, I've listened to this episode probably 4 times already, and each time I take away something more. I hope you did. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you're inspired to take action, to grow and shift and evolve as I am in this life and mastering this dang life. And if you want to learn more about the practices Ishan Shivanand offers, check out his app. I'll put it right there. Again, you can get it on the App Store. You can get it on the Google Play Store. It's really worth it. I can say that firsthand, how powerful they are, the practices that he offers. I feel like in this life, our experience of doing stuff is what matters most. At least for me, as a spiritual scientist. I feel like experientiality is the most. And for me, the experience of doing this sadhana has been very powerful and profound, and it continues to shift my life. And I hope if you're inspired to check out Shiv Yoga, and see what it's all about, that it inspires you to start creating shifts in your life and learning to start mastering this dang life. Thank you so much, Pam, for checking out the entire episode. I really, genuinely, and truly hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, many blessings, and I love you.